it's fairly evident those who have are lathered in perspiration, unless, of course, they've tipped a bottle of water over themselves.
I often wonder whether we should really start the course like this. I remember when I did my course, it was really quite horrendous being out there on a cold, dark morning with big warrant officers yelling at me. And I consider myself to be quite a good endurance runner, and it really hurt that morning, and I was really wondering what I was doing on the course. And even later on, I've seen guys that I've played rugby with, and they're pretty tough fellas, actually dropping out of the run and spewing and gasping for air. What always brings me back to the fact that we should retain this activity at the start of the course is that, firstly, as Warrant Officer Brammer said, it sets the pace for the course. It lets the guys know that they are on the SAS selection course, and it's going to be a tough course, and they better measure up if they're going to make it. Secondly, when all the facts are in, it's generally those guys that dropped out at the start who don't make it at the end.
Northern Army Camp, 130 kilometres out of Perth, the capital city of Western Australia. It was built just prior to the Second World War to provide a base for the thousands of soldiers leaving Australia for active service. The huts are finished in corrugated iron, like ovens in summer, fridges in winter. These huts also housed thousands of displaced persons from Northern Europe as refugees from the war poured into Australia to start a new life. After the first shattering workout, most students have downed a huge breakfast and are now ready to face anything as they assemble to march back to their huts. The first casualty, Ranger Challen, is a few teeth short from a fall on the assault course. There is a minimum of spare time, a few minutes each day, and they're taken up with cleaning weapons. Everywhere, the click and rattle of bolts and magazines as SLRs are taken to pieces and painstakingly cleaned. On this first morning in the huts that have seen nearly 50 years of service, the directing staff, or DS, make their rounds. They'll have every man under scrutiny at all times. Their own performance as teachers and assessors will be criticised by their senior officers. In about 20 days' time, these innocent-looking trailers, standing in a remote corner of the camp, will become instruments of torture. Clothes lines sag under the first wash. It pays to keep smart. It also pays to learn the words of the regimental quick march, Happy Wanderer.
This might seem like a strange activity for young men to be undertaking on a nice sunny afternoon, but we are making the punishment fit the crime. Firstly, they did have dirty weapons, and secondly, if they're coming to the regiment, they should know the regimental tune, and what better time to learn it than now. In the regiment, all members of all ages and ranks continue to undertake physical fitness training and annual fitness tests. On the selection course, I like all the staff to take part in as many of the physical activities as possible to show the blokes that it isn't as hard to do as they think it is. In fact, we've got a 50-year-old staff sergeant. He's in there somewhere helping the guys along, and he actually did his selection course when he was in his late 40s.
Complete your resection and your navigation data sheet. If you have any problems throughout the procedure...
In this opening phase of the course, teaching plays an important role. Every man must possess a good standard of weapon handling, communications. Later in the course, his life may depend on this, first aid, and the key